How's it going, everybody? Mike here, and in this video, I want to talk about how Black Myth Wukong has broken records. Steam Records has had a massive launch, and there's some lore to go into when it comes to Journey to the West you should know about either before you play this game or even while you're playing it. This is good to listen to and learn about. But yeah, lots of stuff here going on that's crazy, crazy good, and some, some things devs clear up about as far as the performance issues and whatnot too. So let's dive in. Apparently the original story was, when it comes to Black Myth Wukong, enormous launch on Steam, is it had like 1.2, 1.4 million peak concurrent players originally, and that has expanded and evolved into its continuous Steam success and growth, now overtaking Cyberpunk 2077, also Counter-Strike, because it was Cyberpunk 2077 that was the most played single player game ever on Valve's platform, but now that is Black Myth Wukong, and in terms of overtaking Counter-Strike to become the third most played game of all time on Valve's platform, apparently, at the time of the update, but then it's been updated even more to have overtaken Power World to become the second most played game ever on Steam, with it being 2.2 million concurrent players. Holy hell. A single player game, guys. A single player game. Now, obviously, there's probably an immense amount of people that make up that number from China, as well as other places of the world. And you gotta also think, Sony, might take a lesson from this. You could have these numbers too if you didn't alienate people that can't make PSN accounts. Just saying. Not just Sony, but other companies in general, take notice of this, because this is huge, and this is just a single player game. Obviously, these numbers won't last, but Power Word breaking record numbers, and Power Word still having a healthy number of players there in other games too. But this is incredible. Records are meant to be broken, so who knows what could be the next, hot thing that takes over these numbers. But for now, Black Myth Wukong is that hot game, that hot thing going on right now. And despite the technical issues too and performance issues that some people are having as well too, this game is being very successful on Steam. Now, the devs have come out to say that despite multiple internal full process tests, occasional serious issues may still arise, unfortunately. They have apologized for any tech or performance issues players have encountered since the game went on sale. Game Science took to Black Myth Wukong's Steam page to issue a statement promising patches aimed at these performance issues. But despite these technical issues, performance issues, it's still getting reviewed fairly well. Obviously, us as gamers, we're loving it. I mean, I'm loving it. I've had to adjust my settings accordingly to get a smooth experience overall for myself. It has crashed on me at least like once, but only once so far. And I've played like the first 3 hours or so of it, having a blast with it. Overall, very fun. So, different action RPG game, indeed, for what it is. And it's just a blast. There's some lore that makes Black Myth Wukong way more enjoyable too. Knowing the journey to the West story and lore bit here I want to go into as well. So, I feel it's important for you guys to know that this game is adapted from the ancient Chinese mythological novel Journey to the West, which was written in 1592. This novel is also the source of inspiration for the famous Japanese manga Dragon Ball as well. For Chinese players, Journey to the West is a household name known to all, but for Western players, it may be somewhat unfamiliar. And perhaps you only know the name of the protagonist, Sun Wukong, but are unaware of the wider characters and stories in the novel. So not knowing this will probably be harder for players to get fully immersed into the game, or possibly diminish the surprise of seeing some characters or plot elements that appear in Black Myth. So let's talk about it. Who is Sun Wukong, the Monkey King? Well, Sun Wukong is the protagonist of Journey to the West. The novel tells the story of the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, and his fellow disciples, Zhou Beish, a pig, and Sha Wujing, aka Sha Muk, escorting their master Tang Sangzong, aka Tang Monk, on a pilgrimage to the west to obtain sacred Buddhist scriptures. Now it will consist of 100 chapters and narrates how Sun Wukong and his companions go through 81 trials and tribulations, ultimately reaching the Western paradise, meeting the Buddha and obtaining the true scriptures from him. The novel is almost styled like 81 levels in a video game. As the protagonist of the novel, Sun Wukong is not only highly skilled in martial arts, but also possesses a magical power known as the 72 Transformation, which allows him to transform into anything, including insects and animals, an ability that appears early on in Black Myth. And, of course, there is his famous weapon, the staff, Jingu Bang, which he acquired from the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea. A staff swing can be lethal, causing serious injury upon a hit. It can also be shrunk or enlarged at will, small enough to fit into Wukong's ear, and large enough to reach the sky. However, on the journey to escort Tang Sanzang to obtain the sacred scriptures, there is a need to prevent Sun Wukong's feral nature from taking over. Guan Yin placed a golden hoop on his head and taught Tang Sanzang the tightening spell. When necessary, they must recite this spell and cause the hoop to constrict, inflicting unbearable pain on Wukong's head and forcing him to obey Tang Zhang's instructions. In a twist, the protagonist of Black Myth Wukong isn't Sun Wukong, but the Destined One. Although his adventure in the game follows in Sun Wukong's footsteps, but the characters who travel with Sun Wukong reappear in the game, and their adventures and hardships from the original novel should help clarify their importance in Black Myth. Additionally, in Black Myth, you will encounter many characters from the novel who have old ties with Sun Wukong, such as the Bull King from the Flaming Mountains. The Bull King and Sun Wukong were sworn brothers. His wife, Princess Iron Fan, possesses a magical treasure called the Banana Leaf Fan, or Platon Fan, which was later borrowed by Sun Wukong to extinguish the fire on Flaming Mountains. At the end of the game's final trailer, there are 4 figures that resemble heavenly deities who are the 4 heavenly kings, the guardians of the world from Buddhist legend. They are the most powerful warriors by the side of the Jade Emperor in the novel. How they will appear in the game and what kind of earth-shattering battle they will have with the Destined One is a surprise best left for the game, though, for you guys. In the game, players will encounter different enemies and bosses, all of whom are inspired from Journey to the West. For instance, the final boss of the first level in the game, a black bear, Joy, is a large black bear with fire attacks. The battle arena is also filled with flames everywhere, and when facing his terrifying flame attacks, it's difficult to keep from stacking fire damage and roasting alive. But if you can find an item called the Fireproof Mantle earlier in the game and equip it during the battle, you will find that you can avoid all flame damage, significantly reducing the difficulty of the fight. And this Fireproof Mantle is indeed derived from the original Journey to the West in the novel. The elder Jinchi of the Guanyin Temple, in order to seize Tang's Katsa robe, set fire to the temple, intending to burn Tang and Sun Wukong to death. Sun Wukong borrowed the Fireproof Mantle from the 4 heavenly kings to protect Tang from the disaster. As a game from Chinese developer, Game Science, Black Myth Wukong features a lot of terminology from the original Chinese that was then translated into English, whereas Japanese games have introduced a variety of Japanese language words into the gamer lexicon. There will likely be some Chinese terms you'll encounter for the first time. Black Myth Wukong players will encounter some novel words such as Yoguai or Guai. You might not know the meaning of this word or even how to pronounce it. Yoguai comes from the Chinese pinyin, which means monster in English. While you might know the word Long better as dragon in Black Myth Wukong, the use of Long is firstly because it specifically refers to dragons from the east, and secondly because its pronunciation is very similar to the Chinese word for dragon. Then of course there are some classic props and weapons in the game that are also directly adapt the naming method of pinyin, such as Sun Wukong's class weapon, the Jingu Bang, which is also directly used in its pinyin form. And as the first AAA game from China, seeing these unfamiliar words might feel a bit strange. But when Western players were first exposed to Japanese games, words from Japanese such as ninja, samurai, katana, and manga quickly became common terms in English. One day, when Western players and Chinese players talk about Black Myth Wukong, discussing key terms and games like that, it'll become, normal as well too, basically. So hopefully this sheds some light on the lore of Journey to the West and Sun Wukong and things related to, what's inspired buy it in the game, basically. And this is very cool stuff to know and learn about, guys. So hopefully, you enjoy this. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. It helps out a ton. Comment, guys, what you think about this. Sound off. And are you enjoying Black Myth Wukong yourself, or if you have to get it? Subscribe if you're new. My name's Mike. Thanks for watching.